Good evening, you're watching State of Business on our television. This is Zeenat Musafir and these are the headlines. Central Bank of Sri Lanka releases annual report for 2017. And World Bank approves credit to strengthen education system in Sri Lanka. News in details. The 66th annual report of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka was presented to the Minister of Finance and Mass Media, Mangala Samaravira, by the Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Indrajith Kumaraswamy, last evening. According to the annual report of 2017, greater measures have to be taken with regard to the implementation of a trade and investment facilitation framework that would enhance the country's overall productivity.
The overall balance of payments recorded a surplus of $2.1 billion in 2017 after 2 years of deficits as a result of significant inflows to the financial account. Foreign direct investments recorded the highest ever inflows in 2017, supported by improving investor sentiments. The report emphasizes the importance of taking formulation and implementation of policies into consideration on vulnerable segments of the population, as it is those with lower income that suffer most from failed policy experiments. Further, the report stressed the need for timely proactive policy measures which increase consistency to enable effective and sustainable utilization of resources, resulting in efficient growth.
Inflation had two spikes during the course of last year. One during the first quarter of the year, then again in the last quarter of the year. And the spike in the last quarter of the year was almost entirely due to weather-induced supply disruption. Some of the underlying indicators like credit growth, like M2B, the broad money growth, etc., have now come down to levels that the central bank finds acceptable. The current account deficit ended up at 2.6% of GDP, which was somewhat higher than we originally anticipated. And if you look, that was almost entirely due to increases in oil expenditure on oil imports, which was a result of the much heavier usage of thermal generation because of the disruption to hydro because of the drought, and also due to rice imports because of the impact of 3 consecutive cultivation seasons being affected by the drought again. We need to see improvement. We need investment, local and domestic, to pick up. We need good quality growth, but this growth needs to be driven by continued reforms, not by an undue relaxation of policies, fiscal and monetary policies, which result in an overheating of the economy. The progress that the government has made was reflected in the recent staff-level agreement with the IMF on the 4th review of the extended fund facility. There is one other measure that has to be taken, which is the introduction of the automatic fuel pricing formula.
Responding to a question, Dr. Kumaraswamy noted that depreciation of the Sri Lankan rupee has no effect on the external debt burden of the country, as money is borrowed and repaid only in dollars. Speaking further, he noted that the exchange rates are often misunderstood and requested the general public to refer the research done by central bank officials, which is available on the official website of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
I think it's a myth, really, to say that when you depreciate the rupee, your external debt liabilities become aggravated. Because you borrow in foreign exchange, we tend to borrow in US dollars, and you have to pay back in US dollars. So when the borrowing is incurred, for accounting purposes, it is recorded in rupees, and when you depreciate the currency, that amount does increase. But you pay back out of inflows into the country by way of export earnings, by way of borrowings, by way of capital flows of other sort. So it's all done in foreign exchange. You borrow in dollars, you pay back in dollars. So to say that by depreciating the currency that you are losing a lot of money which could otherwise be used for development activity is a complete nonsense, really. Because otherwise, the easiest way to bridge the budget deficit would be to appreciate the currency. If you depreciate the currency and you lose money, which would otherwise be available for development, etc., you can just appreciate the currency and then, find money to do your development work or your deliver basic services. So that is all completely misleading and a myth. You borrow in dollars and you pay back in dollars.
The World Bank has approved $100 million of credit to support Sri Lanka's effort to strengthen and modernize its education system. The General Education Modernization Project will streamline and expand the curriculum of general education. The project will focus more on the subjects of English and mathematics and also on school children in rural regions. Primary and secondary level students, technical and vocational education training institutes, and academic and managerial staff of schools is expected to benefit most from this project. It's now time for a short break. Welcome back. The Roundtable International World Meeting 2018 will be held this year for the first time in Sri Lanka. The meeting will take place at 4 major hotels in Negombo from the 5th to the 9th of September. Over 500 members from various countries and over 100 local members are expected to attend the meeting.
Initiated in 1927, the first roundtable was formed in Norwich, England under the motto Adopt, Adapt and Improve. The main aim of the table was to bring young men between 18 to 40 years of age together to challenge, inspire and learn from each other whilst empowering them to make a positive impact in society. The first roundtable in Sri Lanka was held in 1994 under the auspices of former President J.R. Jayawardena.
This is the first time that Roundtable International World Meeting is being held in Sri Lanka. Roundtable is not as well known as some of the other organizations, but it's growing in numbers. Sri Lanka is no introductory to that. We have former Roundtable International President in our midst. But the World Meeting is where members from 45 countries attend. We have 35,000 members globally through Europe, Asia, Africa, North America, and even Australia and New Zealand. We'll have about 500 delegates attending. We have chosen one of the best locations that we can think of in Negombo, by the beach. And before the delegates attend the conference, it's a 4-day conference, before they attend that, they will be taken on a tour of Sri Lanka. We've partnered up with George Stewart's, who will be taking them to Wilpattu, to Anuradhapura, Trincomalee, Sigiriya, Dambulla, basically showcasing everything that Sri Lanka has got to offer, from culture to the history, to what we have in terms of tourism development, infrastructure, and also in terms of investment as well.
Meanwhile, speaking exclusively to Art Television, the Director of Operations at Jetwing Hotels Limited, Jerome Oviti, stated that the Roundtable International Meeting will be a great opportunity for Sri Lanka to promote its culture, traditions and its business network internationally.
It's not only for the hotel, I think you need to look at it for the little city of Negombo, where such an event can really bring an additional income and as well bring the destination on the map of Sri Lanka. Negombo is quite well known. What's really important is that they will be traveling throughout the country for 5 days, therefore discovering Sri Lanka, and as it is an international market, they'll go home and promote and sell our country. So that's what's really important. I think that's where I see a huge value having international events such as the World Roundtable, as it really brings Sri Lanka on the map of the world internationally.
It's now time for a short break. Let's see how the stocks perform after these commercials. Welcome back. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a mixed note today. The All Share Price Index gained 9.32 points to close at 6,531.06 and the S&P SL20 dropped 18.16 points to close at 3,660.10. The turnover was 971.9 million rupees and 23.6 million shares were traded. Next is Forex rates. That's all the news we have for you today. Join us tomorrow with Biz Roundup on our television. Until then, take care and good night.